Thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So happy that it's working out. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, oh
We're
golly,
very
a million different variables can go wrong when you're trying to pull something together.
It's true.
And like, how many shows are you doing on this tour?
So it's, I don't know.
8 in total.
8. But then we've
done half of them.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And there's
That's
some,
still a lot.
there's one when we get back too, but
And there was one right before we left
before
as
we
well.
left.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's really more like 10 or more.
10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. Yes.
Well, it's easy to lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
right.
Well, so you'll notice a lot of you.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we chat about something, I might move something around depending on what you guys talk about. Or, oh, well, let's play this one next instead. Feel free to correct me, on things like that. So just to make sure, see, Stuart, Yvette,
Yvonne.
damn it.
Yep.
Stuart, Yvonne,
Chris.
Chris.
Yep.
Stuart, Chris, Yvonne.
Yep.
Stuart, Chris, Yvonne. Stuart, Chris, Yvonne. Stuart, Chris, Yvonne. Sorry, it's like, when you study popular music, repetition creates legitimacy. Right?
Oh, there you go.
All right, about 20 seconds. Bottlecap Mountain with Canoe here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative with Dr. J. Mrs. Dr. J could not join us. We can all boo-hoo that because I miss having her here. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great day. I hope it's better than you expected. Remember, we come to you every Tuesday from 3 to 6, damn near, almost every Tuesday, 3 to 6 p.m. on WUDR Flyer Radio from the University of Dayton. Rockin' the Gem City, music in all direction, support your local music scene. I am so excited. I have 3 members of Bottlecap Mountain, so I have most of Bottlecap Mountain here.
3/4.
Yeah. So we are pretty much all here. Okay. Now of course there's a drummer going somewhere like, hey, wait a minute. I'm just as important to this band.
More.
Well, let me just tell you guys, my good friend Rob Perry, who's probably listening right now, turned me on to your music. I started listening to one particular song, Human Beings, and then from that, just did a deep dive. Okay, I like this song, I like this song, I like this song. You find the pattern and then you follow it. And of course, then later you release the single Cool. Now you've got a fantastic new album, with fantastic in the title. Yeah, he did that on purpose. It's shameful. It's so shameful what I'm going to do today. But no, in all seriousness, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
We're happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
So let's start at the beginning. How did Bottlecap Mountain get started?
So, I'll take that one. Yeah. Well, it started with me. I've made a record basically that was going to be a solo record, and then sort of at the last minute, I think even the master of that record just says, Stuart Gersman, and then at the last minute, I decided to call it Bottlecap Mountain, which the name I got from a band that my dad was in back in the late '60s called the Bottlecap Mountain Boys. And they actually opened up for Steppenwolf in Corpus Christi, Texas. Anyway, that's where I got the name. Took the boys off, and anyway, it started off with me and a couple other people, and then basically, long story short, they didn't want to play a gig. I booked the gig, and I asked Chris to play bass, and Ray, who's not here right now, to play drums. And another guy, David Johnson, was playing guitar at that time. Anyway, David left, and then kind of same thing. I, met Yvonne and asked her to come sing some harmony. Another friend of ours, Zeke Jarman, played guitar for a while. We made a record. Our second record was that lineup. And then Zeke left. Ray left we did Claus Sharp, which is the third record, which Human Beings is on. Ray's on some of that record. He left for a while, did some other things. We made another record after that, and then we made another record after that, and then Ray, came back into the fold. And then we made this new record, Oh Fantastic Melancholy. And I think, pretty unified, and that's the short version. It turned out it wasn't that short. But,
No. Well, we need context. We need all that information. It's valuable. Well, I'm curious, Chris, what was your experience like joining the band?
So on that first record, Cheer Up, I played bass on a couple of that record. At the time in Stuart's mind, I think it was a Stuart record, and he had a bunch of different people, great players, come in and put stuff, and also me. I played a couple songs on there. So I would play a show from time to time in those early days, and Stuart and I played music together for many, many years before that, but never sort of formally in a band so much.
Yeah, we had a sort of a front porch duo that I won't tell you what we were called. All right, that band name isn't FCC.
Oh, look at the time.
But that's how that went. That's right.
And Yvonne, what was it like with you joining the band? What was your experience like coming in?
It was very, very different than theirs. I've never been in a band before, so this is the first band I've ever played in. I took piano lessons as a kid. I have music degrees, and so I could sing, and that's why Stuart said, "Hey, why don't you sing with us?" And I'm like, I'm not a rock and roll singer. I did musical theater and opera. I don't know how to do rock and roll. And so I sang for a little while, and then Chris was like, you should get a keyboard. I was like, okay, I'll get a keyboard. And so now I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with this either. So, it's been a great transition sort of to doing this, and equally as fulfilling and equally as challenging, and, equally as fun to just be a part of and, get to create.
Well, she's really turned into a wonderful, rock and roll keyboard
Absolutely.
player. But at the same time, because of her training and her learning or whatever, I can pretty much say, hey, why don't you go, ding ding ding, or and she knows what key it's in. She can figure it out based on my untrained. Can you go do?
Right, right.
So,
She is the musical scientist of the group. She
Right.
can tell us the
Okay.
formula. She
Yeah.
can show the
Well,
ingredients.
that certainly explains the white coat you're wearing. I mean, I'm a social scientist, so first of all, respect and props for the white coat. But I felt like the clipboard was too much, Yvonne. I mean,
Yeah.
the clipboard was that was just a little too far. But okay.
Glasses down the nose.
Okay. I'm not going to touch that comment. My students, if any student are listening, you shut up right now. You shut up right now. But no, in all seriousness, there's something really intriguing about your guys' sound, because like Canoe then moves to what, Dream On, Come On, I think is the next track on the record. Mm-hmm. They're very different songs, and consistently, even with like Claw Sharp, I noticed it's almost like All Too Easy, right? Reviewers put a label on you. They slap an idea on you, whether it fits or not. It seems to me like you're following whatever your musical muse is, whatever excites you as musicians. Is that fair, or am I totally off base?
No, I think that's fair. I do. I guess we all call him Stang. His name is Christopher Stang. Stanglin. It's hard for me to call him Chris, so I will refer to him as Stang.
Introducing myself as Stang,
Yeah.
so that people don't.
It's on his bass. So if you come see us tonight, Stang is on his bass. You won't
There you go.
forget. But I'm very influenced by a lot of people that I feel like that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
It's, can you really put the Beatles in a, did they really sound like, depending on the year, depending on the record, the Replacements covered a lot of ground, the Stones covered a lot of ground, Prince even had, straight up rock and roll, almost heavy metal songs, and so that's, for me, it's always usually this record was very intentional, I guess, and thought out in that sense, that basically what it is supposed to be is I used the Bruce Springsteen, what he called the four corners approach. And so, track one track 5, track 6, track 11, if you think about it as, a 12-inch or a cassette where there's sides, right? So you've got those 4 corners that kind of represent a theme, and the theme of this record basically is apocalypse. And then everything kind of in between is supposed to be more or less, either more lighthearted and so you're not completely depressed by the by the end of it. But so that was the I don't know, and I also like the idea of if you do something heavier or something that's more intense, than to follow it up with something not as
Yeah.
And I think Stewart's songs obviously are the foundation of this all, and the whole band is really eager to make the songs work as best they can, make what we're doing serve the songs, and sometimes that is one way and sometimes it's a different way. Lots of times Stewart has very intentional, very specific things he wants to happen, and then sometimes one of us or a couple of us or all of us will just find a different path that it ends up taking, and so we end up with typically a really varied results.
Yvonne, you look like you're going to say something.
Oh, I just agree with they're really good at saying the way they say those things, but yeah, I love how different and contrasting the songs can sound, but the more I play them and the more I understand Stewart, I go, no, this is totally a Stewart song, this is totally a Bottlecap Mountain song, this is totally oh yeah, it totally fits, even if it sounds a little different, so
I think if you listen to the stuff, I think that's true. I think I certainly have a way of writing things, even if, that song sounds kind of like this, or this song sounds kind of, or reminds you of this or that. I certainly have a way, I think, of putting changes and chords together, and that I think if you listen to all of it, oh yeah, okay, I can tell
There's
that,
something to grab onto.
that's that band,
Yeah.
okay, that's that guy, that doesn't make any sense, so that must be that band.
Well, I don't know. There are times when I think we could embrace a little more chaos in our lives, right? A little more whimsy.
I agree, yeah.
I mean, I like how in several songs, I'm not just thinking of Oh Fantastic Melancholy, but even, Cool and Cool especially, maybe, I was going to say a couple songs off Claus Sharp, but Cool especially, right? It's like you're talking about your childhood, whether it's yours or somebody else's, right? The narrator's childhood. Not everything is sounding as pleasant or as awesome as the narrator is making it sound, but there's this incredible melody, right? There's this bouncy bass, right? Bass is the secret weapon, right, Chris?
Oh,
But
That's right.
Speak to me.
but the song itself, right, kind of hides some darker elements in some brighter elements.
Yeah, no, that's, I think that nails it. I think that's exactly what that song is. It is actually,
Oh, it is about
almost
you?
completely autobiographical, I guess. Yeah, I know it's about my, well, I'll say hometown, but the town I was born in, which is Corpus Christi, Texas. So, yeah, no, that's, my dad had a green truck, and, I did pick, used to find,
Picking up the change.
money in the parking lot after the next morning, yeah, so, no, but that is, and it's when I was a kid, and maybe it's because I was a kid that it seemed like a much bigger city, and that there were things happening, but, as the years went on, and especially the last time I was there, like driving downtown, and it just seemed like all it was like, we're bail bonds places,
Oh dear.
and it's just kind of not what it used to be, and back in the 60s and stuff, the Yardbirds played in Corpus, like big people, big bands came to Corpus, now I don't, if anybody does, I don't know. I mean, Queensryche was playing. They've been following us as we've been on tour, so they might go down there. I don't know, but you'll have to ask them.
They haven't
such
showed
a
up at the
burden.
show yet.
Yeah.
It is such a burden that you are carrying that band, right? That
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
simply following your example,
Absolutely.
and you carry it well. You hold it very well, guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we were in Fort Wayne, like, you know, and wow, they're playing here too. Oh, okay. So they're in St. Louis. Okay, guys. Yeah.
If you were just joining us, first of all, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. We are here with Bottlecap Mountain talking about their incredible album. You really should take a look at it. Oh, Fantastic Melancholy. They are here in town playing Blind Bob's down in the Oregon district. You definitely should make plans. I'm told somewhere around 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, in rock and roll, time does not follow the exact precision that we expect in other quarters. But just get down there. Get down to Blind Bob's early. Hang out. Have some refreshment. Eat some great food. Hang out with your friends and come listen to some great music. I'm going to give you another terrific example. I've got to say, not only is this qualitatively different in my mind than Canoe, but this is catchy, yeah, so catchy. This will stay in your head for days, in my humble opinion. Right? Dream On, Come On. Anything you guys would say about it?
I don't know. It's another one that was. I wrote this whole record pretty quickly, and I kind of wrote them in the order, sort of in the order that they are on the record.
Yeah.
So I wrote, Canoe, and then I wrote this one after it, and basically it was just setting up a delay pedal, guitar pedal, and then the riff came, and then I thought the first as it started coming out, I thought this sounds very it sounds like a Hallmark movie. It's very probably the most positive thing I've ever written. It's very, I think it's a very transparent lyric. It is, what I'm saying basically is, normally I have a little, there's a little bit of, like you were saying about Cool, or a lot of my stuff is like that. But yeah, this one pretty much is,
Yeah, I remember when you first pulled this out, or we were first talking about it, you had even maybe a little bit of self-doubt
I was
about
a
it.
little
Maybe
raised
too
on
positive. This is
yeah, well, anyway.
Well, so you executives from Hallmark who are listening right now, this could easily become the backdrop to one of those holiday movies.
Absolutely, that's what we're thinking,
Oh, you guys are awesome.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord. No. Don't cash that check. It's going to bounce so
Yeah.
Woo! You'd be like, could it really? Oh, yeah. That is interesting. I mean, a part of what I love about Cool is the light and the dark, right? Mm-hmm. But yet, listening to the music, I don't know if it's the key that it's in or just the arrangement itself, right? Or there are a couple of these tracks where I think of, now I'm always listening for the bass because I'm frustrated as a player. But it's like the keyboards will be like almost in as major as opposed to minor chords or major as opposed to minor keys, which always makes something sound happy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like minors always make things sound sad.
Right.
Yeah, true.
I'm a child of the Western culture.
Well, I mean, I think it is very, like, the whole sort of dichotomy of the positive music and the lyrics. I mean, like, War Has Begun is just, the very first song on Oh Fantastic Melancholy, which we recorded in his room. It wasn't even a studio. We did that one in his house.
It's true.
But it's, it's that same thing. It's, very light.
I think I probably, I don't know if rip off is the right word, but I probably got that from Sting. With, because if you think about the song "So Lonely."
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It's a very,
right.
but the song's all about, isolation and, so, but the song itself doesn't feel that way, it's a very.
That's clever. That didn't occur to me until now. I mean, there are several examples, right? I'm always drawn to. I would try not to say it on air. I'm always doing the Tom Waits quote, right? Okay. Beautiful melodies, or whatever he said. Beautiful melodies telling me dark things, right? He's absolutely right. Yep. I don't know about others, but I'm drawn to that. I want that beautiful melody or whatever it is in the song telling me terrible things. I suppose maybe this is not the venue to unpack this. We have no couches here.
Blind Bob's tonight.
Yeah, where are you gonna go? I'll wheel in some cots. We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Bring your tissues.
But Brandon knows me. If I lay on the table, then he'd just be like, "Are you okay?" But maybe is it cool if I let it go into astral funk?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the doctor.
Well, well, not of this. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because maybe one of the reasons I am so drawn to doing this is a lot of my research is on things like extremism, hate crime, violent crime, things like that. So I think the same thing that's in your DNA might be in my DNA.
Okay.
You know, I need a balance between the light and the dark.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe we all do.
I think probably, but
Well, kind of seems intrinsic to the world, you know.
Yeah.
There are many good and many bad things.
I just love the ringing guitar. You can't go wrong with. Okay, well, first of all, bass should be usually turned up, and just loud guitar, whether it's ringing, chiming. You know, when there are a couple of the latter songs, I'm forgetting which. You're on an acoustic and you're just going to town.
yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. Let's go up a little bit. And then just the sway and the build in this song are just really lovely.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, I like this record a great deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was so kind of you to share because I was
Sure.
I was literally I think I'd already. Well, let's see. I bought Canoe, and then I think you or somebody sent me that and the backing track.
Yeah.
And then gosh, was there one other that came out? Or am I it's easy for me to confuse albums and releases. Dear God, have mercy. And I was about to buy the whole record, and you're like, well, here's a link. And I'm like, okay. For the radio show, I'll go ahead and accept this, but you don't want to become accustomed to that. You don't want to become the jerk who's always asking for free stuff.
Right. I understand, but I mean, hey, it was the least that I could do,
Absolutely.
Well, I can promise airplay.
Yeah.
You'll see they're different colors because I'm strategic. Because I game the system so terribly. Should I say this while we're recording? So okay, let's put the song in 3 times into heavy rotation. Nice. Or oh golly, Canoe in particular is probably guilty of that. Yeah, okay. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are all in heavy rotation. So I am absolutely gaming the system.
I think we are. You know, our payola of sending you the record.
That's right, it's
worked
paid
out.
off. Sorry, that really tickled me. Oh, you guys are awesome.
So are you.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
But just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, honestly, I appreciate people who make music that speaks to them as human beings. And when you do that, it's going to speak to the rest of us.
Well, that's the hope, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, I mean, then why would anybody else?
Oh, yeah. So are you tough on yourself in that sense?
I mean, kind of. Sometimes, I'm very much. I've certainly a lot of things that we've done that afterwards next one's got to be better.
Oh, sure.
But,
We're always looking to change or improve.
For the most part, I'm pretty. I don't know. Dare I say, confident.
Yeah.
And I pretty much don't introduce anything really if I don't think it's got legs. So. I mean, maybe there are a couple of things that we've tried in the past that didn't really get off the ground, but I'm not sure.
There are some that have come in and that you brought in and we thrashed around on them for a while and couldn't quite figure out, and then some later point down the road comes back and then actually here's the perspective.
Yeah. No, I can. Based on obviously I don't know your music the way you do, but well, that's a gift for understatement. But I do think I see so much experimentation and so much where I think it'd be way too easy for someone to say, well, they're doing that on purpose, but I think you're doing what you find interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
which makes it interesting to me because so we've got funky songs here, we've got Americana songs, we've got singer-songwriter, we've got indie songs, we've got rock songs. I mean, what is it? I wrote about it on our blog. Now I'm forgetting titles, but it's heavy. Is that the ground?
Oh, the ground.
Is it no? Maybe not.
My Little Demon is.
My Little
pretty
Demon.
heavy.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's bluesy and it's heavy.
Yeah. And it's all walls.
But I like that. I love when music excites me and where I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sure.
About 20 seconds.
Okay.
You thought it was over, and then there was more. There was more to that. I love that, right? The total surprise to that, right? And what was your thinking when you put that at the end, or was that just something while you were in the recording studio and you had like a beautiful accident or something totally beautiful that surprised you?
I think it was probably when I was mixing it. I probably laughed at the end of the, after the take, and then we threw some echo on it, and that was actually some wizardry by the engineer Nick Joswick, who we've done most of our records with.
Nicky Knobs.
Yeah, Nicky Knobs. Fifth Street Studios in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
That seems like an appropriate nickname
Yes.
for a sound person.
But he's great. So that was probably just, I guess that was us, goofing around when we were mixing it, and it just seemed to...
Yeah, and it leads into Resurrection Blues really beautifully on the record, and I think, Stewart conceives these as records, as sequences. Singles, sure, songs, sure, but the flow is really, really important.
How does that work then in terms of, right, you're writing the songs and then you bring them to the band. What's it like for you when you're working on something, and then what's it like when you decide to bring it to the band?
So normally it's a good question. Most of the time it happens pretty quick. I mean, there are certainly some things sometimes. If I'm in a period where I write a bunch of stuff, then maybe I don't throw it all, 20 songs at them, all at once. But this one, I feel like I wrote all of these, every one of these songs, I think in I think it was a week maybe. I just kind of wrote one a day, and got it to where I was happy with it. And then, pretty much we kind of knocked them out pretty quick. None of this stuff took long. And then, we recorded it the same way. We set up, I told them, well, it was kind of partly planned, partly not, but I basically told them that we were going to do pre-production. We were going to go into the studio and just set up and get sounds. And then that ended up being most of the takes on the record, because nobody was really worrying about necessarily how well they were playing, so everybody played really good. But yeah, everything happened. And again, most of the time when I'm writing something, I won't introduce it to them if I don't think it's basically done.
Yeah.
And then either, like Stang said before, either I kind of go, hey, this is kind of how I hear it, or they just play it, or we tweak it maybe a little bit, or they play something that is, that I never would have thought of, and then that kind of ends up dictating the feel of it a little bit. And Ray, who's back at the spot we're staying at, he had a lot to do. He's a really good arranger, and some of the stuff, on a song called Unicorn. And My Little Demon, which is the heaviest song on the record, I wrote it faster, and he, was like, let's slow it down a little bit, and I think it certainly gave it more of like an old Sabbath feel, or something.
Oh, that's so, because it reminded me of the first Sabbath record.
That's, good, yeah.
Interesting, that's
Cool.
interesting.
So.
Yvonne, you look like you were going to say something.
I think I always look like I'm going to say something, and then I don't know what that's going to be. No, it's just, it was so exciting to be able to do this record the way that we did it, and I guess I'm, like that pre-production thing is like, that was so easy. I didn't know. We did those, and they were the ones that took, and I've had experiences like that before. If you're not worried about it, it makes it.
Yeah, I
better,
think you can get, everybody can get in their head a little, but, sometimes at the studio, okay, I gotta, when it's that, that idea of like, I have to play, play great, and, it's not always, command, you can't always play great by command, maybe some, big orchestra can or whatever, but, I still think even with a conductor, even with sheet music, I still think that, those people have better nights. They have good nights and bad nights.
Yeah.
I mean, technically you're playing it, and I don't think we ever have a bad show per se, but you always know when it's the same thing with recording, you always know, okay, that was good. And then you kick yourself later and you go, oh, I shouldn't have settled for, for that take. We should have gone for another one, But, I think this record is probably one of the first, at least, I don't know, maybe the first one where I think pretty much every song, I think, turned out about as well as it could.
Yeah. Chris, are you going to say something or add to
I was wondering if, I think part of what happened with this record, because it did come so quickly and it felt so fully formed, I think part of it is that the four of us all were working on it consistently, right from the beginning, ground up. Ray, who again is back at the spot, powerhouse, and this record is a little bit harder in some places. Not the whole thing, but we've got consistent rehearsal space. We've got we've been playing a lot of gigs as this unit. It's I think it's worked out really well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Everything was worked up. They were written, and then the four of us worked them up, as opposed to, I wrote them, and then I'll get together with a couple, so almost acoustically work them up, and then, get with, figure out what the drums are going to do later. Some of the stuff we've done in the past, like stuff that I've played drums on, because we, couldn't find anybody better. It's like, I don't have a drum set up at home, so it's like, okay, I know how the drums should go, but you're sitting there figuring the drums out the day of the studio, and that's either can be good or bad, and and
it could be expensive.
That too, but some of it is that song would have turned out really good if we would have gotten Ray to play on it, or somebody else to play on it. So this record certainly benefited from Ray being back in the fold and working all these songs up, the four of us, and so
we were just talking about Unicorn, so it feels like we should play that.
Let's do it.
And of course, you guys have agreed to play live for us. We still good for that?
Yeah, I can play a couple songs, or have whatever you'd like me to do.
Well, I'm afraid that answer is always going to be yes. If you're asking me,
Okay.
the answer is always yes, right? We could be on the sidewalk walking. It's like, well, I could play right here. I'd be like, okay, I'll sit down on the sidewalk and say, let's go. Let's